Whether you're a brand new real estate investor or a seasoned pro, you'll know that having a relationship with a title company is one of the most important vendors that you will ever work with. In this video, we're going to show you how you can leverage your title company to get thousands and thousands of dollars of free value and also grow your business in many ways. With me, I've got Dena Jones from Fidelity National Title. How you doing, Dena?
Good. How are you, Jamil?
Good to see you.
You too.
Dena and I are on a podcast together called Title Talk, where we talk about all of the different ways that you can use your title company and the different nuances that actually can help your business or blow your business up. But in this specific video, Dena, I want to talk about all the different ways that I've been able to grow my business by leveraging all of the resources that Fidelity Title has available to me.
Yep, absolutely.
A lot of people don't realize that you can actually get so many things from your title company. Typically, we think, title, that's just where I go to sign documents, or that's where I go to wire my money. But if you don't have a seasoned title officer or escrow officer in your back pocket, you could blow your deal up. Have you ever seen deals get completely railroaded because of an inexperienced title officer?
Yes.
And how do you go about like salvaging that?
Well, we love getting those calls from deals that have blown up at other title companies, and they're saying, hey, can you please do this? We just had this happen 2 weeks ago. It was a closing that they needed to happen in 2 business days, and the other title company said they can't do it.
Wow.
But they didn't tell them that right out of the gate. So that's
the old bait and switch. Today, we're going to talk about 11 different ways that you can leverage your title company. And the first way is going to be by having your title company help you expand your network by connecting you to other investors. How would one go about having their title company open the door to doing business with other people?
Well, the first thing is you just have to ask the question, right? Who do you know that I should know? Because I want to get into more creative deals and I want to talk to an expert in that space. Who do you like, know, and trust?
And is there any privacy issues or any problems that a title company might face with opening the doors or connecting the dots for people?
Typically, when that happens to me, I ask permission first and make sure it's somebody that's totally cool with having that relationship and me making the introduction. I don't want to make it totally cold and have somebody like offended and have it not go right.
So you do like a warm intro prior.
Yes.
This person's expecting to hear from us.
Yes.
And I'll tell you that this is actually the real case because just recently, Dena connected me with one of her customers and clients, started us on a group thread. But before she did that, she said, hey, Jamil, I want to introduce you to somebody that's doing a lot of business in Arizona and in Utah. And I think you guys would make a good fit with each other. And there she did. She sent a text message out and we are working together. So this is a great way for you to leverage your title company to have them open doors. Now, if you're a wholesaler or if you're a creative finance person and you're looking for buyers, or say you are a fix and flipper looking for deals, or a buy and hold investor looking for honest, ethical wholesalers to work with, you could go to your title company and you could say, introduce me to a wholesaler that doesn't rip off grandmas or something to that nature, right? You want to work with ethical, good people. So this is a great opportunity to leverage your title company to open the door to new relationships.
Absolutely. And honestly, I do get a lot of those calls where they're curious, who do you know that will actually close? And they ask me for, relationships where we have a high transaction count. So sometimes they will reach out to me and say, please connect me with somebody who will actually perform.
So this is interesting, right? Because they are leveraging the relationship with the title company to get introduced to somebody credible. Imagine not having to do all of that due diligence to know that the person that you're about to enter into a transaction with is actually who they say they are. This is such a big problem in the investor space because you've got folks that are brand new or people who don't know what they're doing, orchestrating or perpetrating as though they're the largest investors and the most credible people, but really they just learned some stuff on YouTube and now all of a sudden you're wiring money to do a deal with them. So honestly, leveraging your title company and asking them to not only vouch for, but really open the door and create new relationships for you is a great way to leverage your time.
And it's not like the kind of data where you can find it on your own. So like on the traditional real estate space, you can look up agent production because it's all on market, right? You're talking about stuff that's off market. So you can't track trends, you can't track closing ratios, but we know who can close.
The second way that you can leverage your title company is for preferred rates. Now, this is something that I've used when I'm working with different sellers. As a wholesaler, I typically offer to pay for closing costs because as wholesalers, we like to give a net price to our sellers so that they understand how much they're actually going to net on a deal. So typically we write the language as that the buyer will pay all closing costs. The good thing about this is if I can get closing costs that are really low, so if I'm a wholesaler selling my deal to a buyer, and I say to them, I'm going to introduce you to a title company that's going to give you significant discounts for your investor rates, they will be really happy about that because they're taking the responsibility of having to pay those fees.
Absolutely.
So can you offer these types of discounts to everybody, or is it specifically for investors?
We have a filed rate specifically for investors. And here, in Maricopa County, it applies to both the title policy and the escrow fee. Every market's going to be different, and it's all going to be based on, the legalities in the state and their filed rates. But we have a filed rate specifically for investors here.
Now, would it just be asking the escrow officer if they have an investor rate and to make sure that they apply it to the file?
Absolutely. And I would highly recommend that you always put that in writing if you are an investor, because when we get audited, we need to prove that it was somebody that told us that they were an investor as well.
Take that note. The third way that you can leverage your title company is for data and investor searches. Title companies do and spend a lot of money going out and finding out who are the major players in the game right now, who's doing most of the business, and they are skip tracing, pulling lists, literally spending thousands of dollars to try to figure out who's who in the zoo. Now, you guys can share some of that data with your clients, correct?
We definitely can here. I will again say, just to preface, it depends on where you are. But yes, we definitely have a ton of creative marketing strategies, different lead lists to help get investors started. A lot of the people that leverage our opportunities on the marketing side definitely generate a lot of transactions directly from them.
And guys, this is like free resources, so why wouldn't you want to use it? You're trying to grow your business, you're trying to make more connections, you're trying to do more marketing, but you're on a budget, right? Because you're a new investor and you're trying to save some money. So why not leverage a title company to have them help you out, or at least show you where you can get some good discounts, or show you other strategies and other creative ways that you can generate more deal flow. The fourth way that you can leverage your title company is for their legal department. This is one of my favorite.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, 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 wah. Well, this is the thing, right? Lawyers cost a lot of money. If you ever had talked to a lawyer before or ever had to engage with one, you'll understand that even having an initial conversation with an attorney can cost you thousands of dollars. A lawyer won't even take on your conversation or do business with you until you sign an engagement letter with them and typically deposit $5,000 into their lawyer's trust account. So it's really expensive working with attorneys. What I learned in the last few years was that I could actually call my title company. They all have in-house legal, and I can ask for help if I have questions about a contract, if I have questions about a deal I'm in, if a seller is trying to renege on a contract and walk away and not close on a transaction. Instead of me paying thousands of dollars to my lawyer, I can just call the legal department at my title company, ask to speak to the attorney on staff, and get some great legal advice from an actual attorney. Did you guys know that you can do that? Most people don't realize.
It's not stuff you can Google.
It's not stuff that you can Google. The fifth way that you can leverage your title company is for contracts and documents. Oftentimes, you don't know what the preferred contract of a title company might be. And I remember when I was first doing business with Fidelity, Alicia Moore helped me out with a really great assignment contract. Because assignment contracts aren't all created equally. Some assignment contracts really leave you up to a lot of exposure, and they're really problematic. But the assignment contract that I got from Alicia Moore at Fidelity Title was really buttoned down, well written. It was neutral, so it wasn't just heavily weighted in my favor or heavily weighted in another's favor. It was really fair so that everybody involved felt comfortable signing the document. Is it pretty standard that a title company would have access to documents and files like this that they'd be able to share?
I think it just depends on who you're working with, absolutely. And I would totally recommend that no matter what contract you're going to move to or how you're going to build your own, that you consult your own legal team, because that's your contract that becomes, what you use for every transaction. And we can give you samples and we can give you ideas, but at the end of the day, you're the one ultimately responsible for what you want to put in your assignment contract and how much risk you're willing to take.
She's right, guys. So what Dena's trying to say is if you do use a document that's been given to you by a title company and there's wording in there or something in there that doesn't really fit your bill, don't turn around and be like, hey, you gave me this document, now you guys are in trouble. Don't do that, right? So, of course, get your independent legal advice, read the contract, make sure you feel good about it, but they could provide you with samples to help you get the meat and potatoes, let's call it, of what you need in the financial instrument or the contract that you're going to be using. Number 6, you can leverage your title company for credibility. This is a huge one.
Yes, it is.
Especially if you don't have like a huge track record or a big public persona like myself and people don't know you on social media, but let's just say you do a lot of business, but you're like relatively quiet and unknown. Well, if people don't know who you are, or if you don't have like a website or like this fancy office, and they want to know if you're the real deal or somebody that actually does transactions, it really is a cool flex to walk into a seller appointment and say, if you have any questions about who I am, the ethics of how I do business, give my title company a call. They would happily tell you about the way that I conduct myself. Dena, how often do you think people leverage their title company to show others how credible they are or how much business they do?
Not enough, for sure. But the ones that do, I know it's made a huge impact in their business. I was just talking with Alex, actually, at your meetup, who's more on the dispo side, and is one of those guys who's a little bit quieter on social media. He knew that these people weren't sure if he was going to be the guy that was going to close on the deal, and it was a really competitive deal. And so he said, Katie, will you please have a conversation and tell them I do what I say I'm going to do, and I will close on this transaction. And that made all the difference in the world.
The 7th way that you can leverage your title company is for meetups that they put on. So Fidelity Title, you guys put on some pretty cool get-togethers and meetups. How often does Fidelity Title like to do stuff like that?
I mean, we like to participate in as many of them as we can, for sure. I mean, here consistently in our market, I think we do 3 to 4 a month at least. One of them is Keegley's.
Yeah.
We just had that last week, which was really fun.
It was so full.
It was super full. Standing room only, just kind of fun.
Super fun. But you guys participate in like 4 of those a month. So guys, if you're brand new as an investor in a new market, what a great way to get out and get to know people, right? Get a hold of a title company and ask them, are you guys involved in any investor meetups this month? And if so, tell me where and when those will be. I'd love to attend. And guys, make sure you show up to those meetups hungry, because oftentimes they've got finger food and other fun things that are just hanging around there. So they'll feed you, you'll get to meet some great people, and very likely make some dollars from the relationships that you'll gain there. What is one of the best things that's ever come out of a meetup for you?
I mean, I think physically connecting people in person in real life that I feel like have something in common and they can meet.
Yeah, put eyeballs
on each other. And literally, I mean, I've walked into those things and introduced people and they've walked out doing deals together.
The 8th way that you can leverage your title company is for the peace of mind that you get from the different policies that you get when you do business with a title company. I can tell you, I've done over 6,000 wholesale transactions, and I could count on one hand how many times I've had to use title insurance. If I didn't have title insurance these like 4 times, I would have been out probably about $1 million.
Wow.
And so it's really important that you have a good title company that has really strong title policies on your property, because you never know what's going to happen. Problems and mistakes occur. But when you deal with a reputable title company that has integrity and actually stands behind the work that they do, when a problem does happen, they will happily take care of that problem for you and help you get either made whole again or work with the insurance company to make sure that you actually get paid out or get made whole out of a transaction. How often do you see title policies actually pay out? Like, how often do mistakes happen?
I mean, well, there's different levels of mistakes, right? So you've got anything from like an escrow error, which is
pretty rare.
Very rare, but I mean, they do happen, and they're typically more small, clerical kind of errors. You've got right now, I mean, one of the biggest things going on is wire fraud. Fraudsters are doing absolutely anything and everything they can to try to divert the funds from going exactly where they're supposed to.
Really, really important, guys. This is why I always have a title policy on every transaction I do. I will never do a deal by quit claim deed. It's one of the most irresponsible ways that you can do real estate transactions. Having a strong title company with good cash reserves to pay out when things go wrong is really important. That's really why I love my relationship with Fidelity. They're rich, yo. They own the Vegas night. I mean, I'm just saying, right? If something goes wrong, I'm going to be okay.
I think Bill Foley owns the Knights. I don't think that's an F&F portfolio, just to clarify.
I thought you guys did own a portion of.
I don't know about all that. I mean, I don't think it's in my stock. Let's just put it that way. But I will tell you that...
Still in the Golden Corral.
No, the Village Inn.
The Village Inn. Don't whip that out. Okay.
No, it's true, though. Yeah, a great question that you can ask a title company that you're considering doing business with is, what is their claims reserve strength? How much do they have in the bank account to pay claims?
Well, can I ask you? Yeah. What is your claims reserve strength?
It's about 16.5 billion plus. With a B.
Let's just say they got the dough, okay? So if something goes wrong, I'm not going to have a big problem. Like $16 billion in claims reserves. If everybody goes to the bank today and takes out all their money, the bank is going down. We just seen this happen very recently. That's why insurance companies, and especially like Fidelity, when it comes to the title side, they typically are even more financially stable than these financial institutions, because y'all are actually required to hold these cash reserves, right?
Yes. I mean, I don't think we're required to hold as much as we do. And there are some title companies that really have very little reserves. So I think asking the question about the ability to pay claims is important.
Wait, is that a real thing? Like title companies can operate and not have enough money to pay out claims?
And then they close.
What?
When the claims come in and they don't have the ability to pay, they either do a cash call and ask for their investors to pay more money, or they close.
Don't put yourself in that situation, guys. Again, another reason why I use Fidelity National Title on all of our deals is because I know of the strength and the power that they hold in being able to make sure that if there's any financial problem, that we're going to be covered. The number 9 way to leverage your title company is for a neutral third party for all people involved in a transaction. It's really important when you are working with a seller, a real estate agent, that everybody feels as though their best interests are being taken care of. Now, Dena, of course, if I'm directing title, I have a relationship with the title company. Does that make me the favorite in the neutral relationship? Or do you guys really just like look at all neutrally and just follow the contract?
No, that's exactly what we do. We follow the letter of the contract and we are the neutral third party. So when it says that you don't get your earnest money back if you didn't perform, you don't get your earnest money back if you didn't perform, even though we do love you.
That's it. Follow the rules. And listen, I appreciate that. This is one of the things that's happened to me before, is where I've worked with another wholesaler or other people that are investors, and they have a relationship with their title company, but their title company didn't act like a true third party or a neutral third party. They were very much in the corner of one of the people or one of the parties in the transaction. And that sucks. It sucks when the title company isn't looking at everybody involved as equal players. That's one thing that I know. That's the reason why I really value the relationship with Fidelity, is because you guys have a very neutral stance when you're talking about how a deal should go or how a contract should be read. How often do you find these non-neutral relationships actually exist?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I mean, I always am on the assumption that people are just supposed to be doing what they're supposed to do, right? But and I can't speak for the way other title companies operate, but I do know that, you know, in our company, I mean, they do, earnest disputes come up every day, especially in a market that's wonky, which we've been in for a little bit.
Right.
So, I mean, looking at every single case on an individual basis is something that we do at a very high level.
Now, the number 10 way that you can leverage your title company is for expertise on certain transaction styles you may not have a lot of information or a lot of knowledge on. My best friend, Pace Morby, actually learned how to do creative finance from an escrow officer. Imagine that. The guy who's become the sub-2 king across the entire country learned how to do creative finance from his escrow officer. All the different instruments, the different ways that he could leverage the deal, the different ways that he could wrap financing around, and all the creative strategies, he learned that all from his escrow officer. So this person basically gave him free coaching. What an incredible thing to be able to rely on your title company, especially when they have really experienced escrow officers. What's one of the most experienced escrow officers that you have that you've known of, and what's something that they've been able to teach somebody how to do?
Oh gosh, so many different things. I mean, the one call we're getting often right now is things about novation.
novation agreement. So
Novation, wraps, we're getting those calls a lot.
because they're creative deals, right? And for those of you that don't know what a novation is, that's when you actually don't take title to a house, but you make an agreement with a seller to renovate the home while they still own it. And then you agree upon a price that the seller will receive. So basically, everybody's got to work together in a pretty cooperative manner, because once you sell it, the money gets dispersed. We want to make sure that everybody's going to behave the way that we agreed upon we were going to behave before we started spending the money doing the renovation. So it's really important that you have a title company that helps you structure those deals. Could I rely on my title company to help me structure the agreements and do a novation or a wrap in the right way?
Absolutely. So I always recommend that you call early. So after you've had the conversation with the seller, you understand the goals, you understand exactly what they're going to need to get out of the deal to feel like it's a good deal for them, and also what you're going to need. And I would call early in that process and say, what's the best way that, you would recommend structuring this situation? Similar to what Pace did, he thought there was a different way to do things. So he asked the questions.
And the 11th and final way that you can leverage your title company is for ease. Your title company is really important in helping you get a deal done. I've seen escrow officers and title companies destroy deals where the escrow officer just had no clue what a wholesale deal was, didn't understand an assignment, and literally called a seller that I was in the middle of a deal with and was like, I have no idea what's going on here. I got this assignment, and apparently the person who was buying the house from you now isn't buying the house from you now, and they've assigned it to somebody else. And I'm like, it's not an assignment, it's an assignment. What are you doing here? Why are you creating so many problems for me? This seller was completely freaked out. Even though I had the disclosure in my contract that I could wholesale the deal, they really called the seller and just created so much uncertainty in the seller's mind. They made the seller feel like things were happening that weren't happening.
Shady.
It was just terrible. And I felt terrible because I hadn't done anything wrong. I didn't try to mislead anybody. I hadn't left anything or any disclosures out of the documents. Everything was there. But the title company's escrow officer made things feel weird and sound weird, right? And so not having that pre-established relationship, knowing that this escrow officer or title company can do this kind of transaction is really just a bad idea. You want to make sure that you reach out to a title company and just find out, do you guys do assignments? Do you do double closes? Do you do wraps? Do you do seller finance, novation agreements, all of these different creative strategies? And if they do, they could be a great investor-friendly title company for you to work with. Dena, what's the worst thing or the worst way that you've ever seen an escrow officer blow a deal?
The worst way I've heard about them blowing a deal. I mean, recently, we ended up getting a deal from somebody and a new client because the other title company they were working with showed everybody their assignment contracts.
Wow. Wow.
And they were not party to those other assignments.
Wow. So they shared information with parties to a transaction that they had no right to share.
And it could have been an accident, but that didn't matter. It blew up the deal, first of all. And it blew the relationship for that particular investor. He had no faith in that title company anymore.
Guys, it's so important to make sure that you're working with a well-established, well-funded, and highly reputable title company for all of your deals. And I would highly recommend working with Fidelity Title. They did not pay me to say this. I'm just a loyal fan and a loyal customer, and I appreciate the decade-long relationship that I've had with you, Dena. It's been an honor and a pleasure to work with you guys. Dena, how could people get a hold of you if they want to learn if one of your offices around the country could help them out?
Sure. You guys can email me at titletalk@fnf.com, or you can check me out online at fidelitydena.com, DENA.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.